fall unmolested. In summer, you'd find them on the train, rumbling out to the Utopia Mall, a terminal point where they would not disembark, but stay right where they were, collapsed in heaps, half asleep, and therefore semi-alert, until the train started up again and returned to downtown Minneapolis. They had no purchases. They consumed nothing but air and food scraps. Even the tattered clothes they wore seemed borrowed from somewhere. Back and forth the trains would go, carrying their human freight. Something about public transportation, you could see it also in coaches on Amtrak cars, had a narcotic effect and seemed to render their passengers half alive, their heads flung back in comatose slumber. At 38th Street, a well-tailored gentleman boarded. He wore a three-piece suit, a trench coat, and a soft black trilby hat. The hat made him appear as if he were in costume. He trailed a small suitcase on wheels. His glasses consisted of small tinted circles on thin gold frames, and some property in the lenses reflected light in such a way as to make his eyes nearly invisible. Standing in the aisle next to Bredigan, bathed in soapy blue sunshine, he looked down, smiled, and asked if the seat next to Bredigan's, the one on which Bredigan's baseball cap lay, was taken. No, not at all, Bredigan said, picking up his cap and putting it on. Please, sit down. The man dropped down in slow motion next to Bredigan, lifting the crease in his trousers in an old-fashioned gesture. Thank you kindly, the man said. He had a trace of a Southern accent. A few moments passed. The man cleared his throat. Thank you, he repeated, looking straight ahead before checking his pocket watch, like the White Rabbit in Wonderland. You have a plane to catch? Bredigan asked, making a social effort. Yes, you could say that, the man said. Where to? Bredigan asked him, trying to keep his questions on this side of politeness, the starchy affability one attempts with strangers. Paris, the man said. I'm going to a conference. Ah, Bredigan said. And you, the man asked, where might you be going? He turned to glance at Bredigan, but behind his lenses, the man's eyes remained invisible. Maybe he didn't have eyes. Maybe he had something else. Oh, me? Bredigan shook his head. I'm headed out to the mall to get some exercise. I'll meet with some friends out there and then we'll walk around until we tire. It's air conditioned. And although I don't particularly care for, yes, the man said, agreeably interrupting him. I've seen them. I should say, I've seen walking around people like you. But tell me, why don't you stroll around the lakes in the city or the parks, outdoors? I myself enjoy the city's recreational locales this time of the year. Birds and, the man thought for a moment, trees. The stranger wore cologne, Bredigan noticed. The scent was like autumn, aromatic burnt leaves, and the man's accent faded in and out as if he were imitating a Southerner without actually being one himself. Well, I have a medical condition, Bredigan informed him, so I need to stay out of high temperatures and therefore I go to the mall, the man said, interrupting again. Yes, who was this person prying into his early morning life and finishing his sentences for him? So, Bredigan said, doing his best to take control of the situation, if you don't mind my asking, what conference are you going to? Rather quickly, and as if by magic, the man reached into his pocket and drew out a business card before handing it to Bredigan. Dr. Arver L. Jefferson, MD, psychoanalytic and associated therapies, member, Midwest Institute of Proton Analytics. The doctor's email address and phone numbers had been printed at the bottom of the card, but the ink was smudged and illegible. I've never heard of proton analytics, Bredigan said. What's that? The doctor drew in a long breath. I'll give you an example. You see that man over there? He asked, nodding in the direction of the young couple who had followed Bredigan onto the train. The man wore earbuds and a stack of pamphlets lay in his lap. The woman seemed to be studying both Bredigan and the doctor. Yes, the doctor affirmed, that one. As soon as I get off this train, he will ask you for money. He will test you. He will beg you for something, anything. You must give him $1 at least. Do you know the legend of Notre Seigneur en pauvre, our Lord in rags? No, Bredigan said. It's a French Canadian legend of Jesus, the doctor said with low excitement as he warmed to his subject. And in this legend, Jesus is dressed as a beggar and is roaming the earth, testing the generosity of everyone he meets. It's a spot quiz for your salvation. You could think of that man over there as Jesus, and I recommend that you do so. Did you say that you have a medical condition? Bredigan nodded. The airport is coming up soon, and I will have to be on my way, the doctor informed him. But I will tell you of another legend that grew up among my people in the South. This one will help you, I guarantee. It will help you personally. Here is what you must do. What I have for you is a cure for affliction. The doctor now seemed nervously energized and was enunciating his words with care. Find a mirror, the largest one that you can easily carry, let's say a hand mirror, and take that mirror to a creek, or even better, to a flowing stream, or best of all, a river. And here is what you must do. You must lower the mirror into the water. As he spoke, the doctor's hands moved in the air in front of him, pantomiming, or so it seemed to Bredigan, a vigorous form of washing. The water has to flow over the mirror or the cure won't work. And once you have the water streaming over the glass, you wash your reflected face in the mirror. Not your actual face, but your mirrored face in the water. Holding the mirror so as not to lose it, you wash your face, your reflected face, your face in the mirror, and you will get well. You will recover, and renewed you will prosper. I give you my personal guarantee. Really, I promise you, you will get better, freed of all your afflictions. This is an ancient cure. It is proven. It is so. There is a vast literature to this effect. The little recital sounded like nonsense to Bredigan, but even nonsense can serve a purpose sometimes. The train entered a long tunnel, and the sudden change in air pressure caused Bredigan's eardrums to pop as soon as he swallowed. He saw his own reflection in the window and was startled. I must go now, the doctor said, standing up and gazing at Bredigan one last time. His opaque lenses gave the doctor the appearance of a walking oracle. Enjoy your walk and do as I say. You will get better. I guarantee you will be saved. As he turned, his glasses reflected the sun. Perhaps you shall see me again, and you can tell me how you got well. The doors of the train opened, accompanied by a two-note electronic chime, and the doctor hurried out, pulling his suitcase and checking his pocket watch. And as he exited, Bredigan thought he heard the doctor say, "You never told me your name." But he might have imagined those words tossed into the air behind the black Trilby hat in the general tumult of passengers rushing out toward the terminal, where the TSA would soon examine them for concealed weapons and malevolent intent. Now the light rail was mostly empty. Bredigan counted out only a dozen or so passengers, including the young man and woman still sitting in the aisle across from him. The man who, as the doctor had predicted, would soon ask him for money. In preparation for this request, Bredigan reached into his wallet and opened it, taking out a $5 bill, which he folded into his palm. The young man watched him do so without interest, and then went back to straightening and fussing with his pile of pamphlets. As the train erupted out of the tunnel into the sunlight, Bredigan waited to be asked for money, to be put to the test, to be saved by Notre Seigneur en pauvre. But the young man had turned his head to observe the landscape of hotels and businesses passing by. And Bredigan, clutching his money, realized that he wouldn't be tested today, nor would he be saved. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
So Charlie, when is this book? This sounds really great.
It'll be out in November.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll still be locked in, so we'll be able to read
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's great. That is fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Charlie, for joining us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be able to read, well, certainly with Jack, whom I've known for almost as long as I've known you, Mike.
Yeah.
And with Laurel too.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking when I put this together. So, and you know, Michael Scribner's out there too, somewhere. Michael, say hello so you'll light up on our screen here. Maybe he left already.
No.
Oh.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Michael. Hi, Marianne.
That story is
Great.
What can
Great
I say? But you grabbed me with the first chapter.
Thank you.
It was a grabber. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Thank you.
All right. So the next event, we're going to next Saturday at noon, and it'll be on YouTube and Facebook too, but on Zoom as well. We're going to have the second annual St. Clair Shores Literary Walk that you sit and watch it on the screen. And the next reading like this will be on the Living Room series reading will be July 12th at 2:00, and it's going to have Molly Peacock and 3 of her Detroit friends and friends of ours, Cindy Frankel, Christine Ryan, and Dawn McDuffie. And for anybody who's new to this experience, you can always find out what's coming up at the Detroit Writers Guild website, which is, and they have a Facebook too, which is dwguild.org. That's the organization that I'm fronting these days, Charlie. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys back, many of you back again when we're online with the Living Room series. Living Room online literary series is sponsored by Detroit Writers Guild, and of course, poets and writers who have been good friends of mine for several decades now. They're totally all in on this. And Wayne State University and the Book Beat. Charlie's got books at Book Beat, as does possibly Laurel, and I'm sure that Jack does in Oak Park. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
See
you,
you.
Emma.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.